So, welcome to the next episode of the British Business Podcast. Here we are at the Steam House in Birmingham at Birmingham City University, and I'm absolutely delighted that this afternoon I've got with me Mr. Wo King, who is the CEO of a business called HI9. Now, Wo, you're in the world of artificial intelligence, AI. And I know that's a fascinating subject. It's one that me and a lot of people look at and think, oh, okay, we know it's coming. We know it's out there. It's used regularly, but we don't really understand it. Now, you're a man who's got an organisation that's in the world of AI. And I know that you have a passion and an energy to revolutionise this sector. And I see that what you want to do with your business is to lead this revolution in how you can help the most disadvantaged in society. So, without further ado, Wo, over to you. Tell us all about HI9 and yourself.
No, thanks for that. So if I give a little history, and then maybe that will help people understand. So I've been in tech now for decades. And about 8 years ago, I became obsessed with how technology can help people on low incomes access knowledge and data. And I came to that from the fact that I was running a hack space. I always try and do community engagement on the side of my tech company. And this hack space is a place which is like a geeks clubhouse. And I got these old computers from schools and ripped them apart. And I thought, oh, it'd be great. People can come in and learn how to build a computer. And I noticed that huge amounts of people who were on the low incomes were coming in. In fact, we had over 200. And this is in Cornwall. So we're based in Cornwall. And this is a small place. And we had all this demand. And they were coming up and turning around and going, oh, we really need this to access our benefits, or we're going to lose this. And this is just when things were starting to think about going online. Mm-hmm. So therefore, then I started to go, well, this is a bit weird, right? And they need to do this, right? They just need the access to knowledge, the information. They just need the access to the services. They don't need a computer. And there's a lot of thinking about this nowadays where you turn around and go, it's digital exclusion, they need a computer, they need training. And I became from the angle is, no, the problem is not with them. The problem is with the technology, that we should be able to create technology that needs no prior knowledge or training to use, that they don't need any training. Because think about this line. The government spends billions of pounds, and trust me, billions of pounds, to train people to use the government. That's an insane thing to say, right? What we should, as a society, a government and tech, is create solutions that need no training. Once you start thinking like that, all of a sudden the world opens up. So I started to think like that, and I started to do user testing off my own dime in things like homeless shelters, old people's homes, even on the street, right? Just talking to these people as if they're users, if they're users like anyone else. And once I started doing that, I started to see opportunities, that this is a sector that is underserved as users. I want to be really clear here. Our job is not to help people. Our job is not to enable people. Our job is to serve an underserved section. And hopefully, through the next few minutes, we can interrogate that about what that means. But the use of artificial intelligence, so people go AI and they get like either scared or dismissed. And there's been a lot of promise about what AI is. And it is starting to be used in certain areas. But trust me, 2023 is going to be a year of AI. And we've been building solutions from the bottom up, and hopefully we'll be going through them today, about the fact that of using these systems for people who need it most first, and then for everyone else. And it actually is an advantage to do that. It is better for tech, for us, if that is the way it is seen. So that's what we're talking about today, hopefully.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And as I said, AI, we've all heard of it, but we really don't know what it does. We don't know the power of it. Now, the first thing you said there, we talked about a disadvantaged sector of society. Let's be clear. Who are those people? Who are you aiming at first and foremost, first of all?
Okay, so it's about 20 figures change. Anywhere between, I've heard 12, I've heard 30% of people, right? These are people who either, you hear the term digitally excluded. Yeah. So huge amounts of the people get this wrong are young. Mm-hmm. Huge amounts of people are very old. Now, these are sections of the community that need access to services, anywhere from the homeless to the mental health challenges, to physical health challenges, to people who have anxiety, who have lots of different challenges that have meant that they've dropped out of society or have a hard time engaging with that particular part of society. Now, they're really hard to engage with, and it is a lot of time and effort in order to engage with these people, and that's why we have a huge, either from public sector to local council to charity to NGO, in order to interact with that section of society. They are woefully underserved, and the only solution that we get is, we need to give them a laptop and train them how to use it. To me, that is absurd. If you look at a normal laptop, that keyboard, I've been in tech now for on and off over 30 years. I still don't know what some of those keys do. That's insane that we do that. What we need to do is create technology that they just talk to, either text or just talk to.
So simplify the whole process, simplify the engagement, is that the right word?
Yeah, and the engagement has to be emotionally immersive. So when I started this company, my first hire was Dr. Lauren, and she's a narrative design lecturer at Plymouth University. And one of my other key hires is a linguist. Both of them are writers. Both of them were really key in how the AI is designed in order to make sure these people are emotionally immersed with it. It doesn't sound like the government. It doesn't sound like authority. It sounds like someone in their community. And that is really, really important. That was vital. And so these people who work for me are vital in how we can communicate in a way that they feel listened to. But using the most advanced technology the world has known for 40 years, and giving it to them, the individual, first. This is not AI that we're going to be giving to government, local government. What we're doing is we're giving AI to them. They're the user. My client is them.
So give me a good example of how your client would use your services.
So we built the first Cornish AI, right? And she's called Debbie. Debbie is 52 years old, and Debbie's got 2 children. She's got a whole backstory, all designed and built. And what Debbie is, she's in beta and just about to come out to the whole public. And this is supported by European Social Fund money, match funded, and it's called under the People Hub project. And what Debbie does is that you can talk to her, first of all, in WhatsApp, because what we found is these users use WhatsApp.
Okay, so that's the simplicity.
Yep. So you just text as a bot, right? And also a web app, not an app you download. We wanted to make sure that even if you had a 60 quid Android phone, you could still talk to her. So you talk to Debbie, and Debbie has the biggest database of jobs and skills in the whole of Cornwall. It is also a universal credit estimator, a local housing benefit estimator, and a housing benefit estimator. I would say better than any out there, right? But done in these sort of ways. So for instance, with the universal credit estimator, as she asks questions as Debbie, 52-year-old woman from Campbell. And sometimes she'll turn around and go, that was quite taxing, that part. Do you want to go and get a cup of tea? You can come back later. Now, normally you would have a form that you filled in. Now you have Debbie, who's going to, alongside, give you support and encouragement to get through this and come back at another point. We want to get rid of the forms.
So in other words, you're providing a very simplistic, easy to use, I'm going to call it a platform, where I can access knowledge.
And shared data.
And shared data. So I can so I could ask about the location of my local
job centre.
Job centre, very good. My apologies. So the job centre.
The local job centres in there, right? We've also got the gov.uk/benefit and welfare part of the government site. We scanned all that, and that happens every day. So anything changes on that, we get to see. What we call it is the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy model, right? So we've got accurate answers which are on that site. So they change anything, we have the answer. We then use AI and our little tips and tricks in order to find the right questions that people would ask. So that's what's called the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's the question, not the answer. So you can ask Debbie questions and get the answer back in the voice and tone of someone like Debbie.
So just for clarification, so to me, Debbie's actually a computer.
Yeah, for simplicity's sake. So it's an artificial intelligence entity. When people ask me what artificial intelligence is, I make it very simple. It's an intelligence that's artificial, right? That's it. That's the reason why the word's there. So she's an intelligence that is artificial, that you can communicate and talk to about all the different services that we just said. She does not exist in the real world. But we do this little like WWE wrestling thing that we never admit that. So I've admitted it on this podcast, but I try not to admit it, okay? That she's as real to us as anyone else.
Yep.
She's an important colleague and an important person who can really help people to access that knowledge. That emotional immersion is really important because these users need to know that Debbie is on their side and is not a government bot. We do not work or represent the government. We represent the user. And the user is the primary person behind this. So that is what I get up in the morning and work late at night, 7 days a week on, is what do these people need, right? I'm not out to help them. I'm not a white knight. And this is really important. When people turn around and go, oh, you're doing something really good. You're doing, you know, this is a really good thing. And I turn around and I hate that. Please never do that. I want to make a ton of money. Because if I do, then these people are going to get a huge amount of access to the most advanced technology that's been around for 40 years, and we could transform society. If I have to keep putting my hand out to grants and things like this, then it is to the whims of a politician or a grant body. But if I can create a business model where these people don't have to pay a thing, and they never will, but they could have this advanced technology, then we've changed everything. And everything is changed, I think, for the better. But I've got to be really clear, this is an underserved market because people have always been afraid to touch it.
Yeah, and I think you know the viewers, listeners today would agree with you. Yeah, it is. Yeah, well, I think people completely would understand that. So we touched on money. So how, you know, are you going to expect the user to pay for this? I mean, how are you going to monetize it?
Never.
How are you going to make your ton of money?
All right. So the Facebook model is the classic example. If anyone's seen the movie Social Network, in it, his partner kept on going off to New York and wanted to talk to advertisers. Mark Zuckerberg turned around and said he didn't care about the advertisers, he cared about the users. He got the users. Once he got the users, the advertisers had no say. The advertisers had to come to the platform. That's what I'm doing. Okay. I'm going after the users. I want to get as many users as quick as possible using this, and we will obsess about that. By doing that, this is an underserved market. And by doing that, they are also very expensive to interact with and very complicated to interact with as a section. If we can reduce that cost and increase the opportunity, then anywhere from local government, national government, big organisations, lots of different opportunities start creating. Who will pay for it? Because it is much cheaper than what they do right now, which is an amazing opportunity for the users. Amazing. And that's the market we're trying to create. And it is to create a market. The reason why this is really important, I'll give you an example. Someone we dealt with who was an amazing young woman, who you can look her up, Mimi Beard, there's a BBC article about her, where we're mentioned. And we met her as when she was 16 years old in a homeless shelter. And we were doing user testing. And what I did was brought in the top people in every different sector into that homeless shelter once a week. I got the best finance person, the best person running PT, the best person in marketing, the best, right, to come in and talk to them. And I started to understand how they don't get access to the best. They get access to okay, but they don't get access to best. And I was trying to understand how to do that. But as interacting with Mimi, she is amazing. So what she did was she had a terrible background and a really challenging upbringing. And she did her GCSEs literally by candlelight in a bedsit and got nearly straight A's. Phenomenally intelligent, high IQ, just didn't understand the opportunities. And things were going a little bit bad, and we helped and mentored, and she's still an amazing person in our life. We absolutely adore her. But I saw the fact that the bureaucracy she had to do. Yeah. Now, she's a bright, smart, hard-working, high IQ individual, and she couldn't deal with it. Yeah. And I went, if she can't deal with it, who can? When it comes to bureaucracy, and this is a really important point, I can't do anything about how much people get on low incomes. I can march, I can vote, I can do lots of different things. But what I can do is the bureaucracy and administration. There's no form you and I fill out, or any of the, or most of the people who are watching this fill out, that if you get wrong, you are homeless or you don't eat. Just imagine that. A massive form that if you get wrong, you are homeless or don't eat. Now imagine that stress.
Oh.
Imagine, right, that the person at the other end misreads something, and then you have to go through appeal and everything else. I've got this line. You see Daily Mail headlines scream, oh, if you just reduce bureaucracy on businesses and individuals, you'll open up enterprise and you open up opportunities. And I turned and said, I completely agree. Let's start with the poor first. Yeah. Right? Now, what AI can do is reduce massively that complexity to an extent that the state would be worried. Mm-hmm. Because you're giving that AI to collect that information in a way that the state cannot turn down, right? In fact, that's what we want to do. In which case, that fulfills that Daily Mail headline, but it also fulfills the sort of the centre right and the centre left about these people accessing that knowledge and making decisions what's best for them. I am not out to help. I'm to give them these tools and services so they can make decisions best for them. Because right now they haven't got it, and it is an unequal game, right? And what I'm saying is that we need to absolutely level the playing field. All the technology I have at my fingertips is amazing. Anywhere from mental health to doctors to create my own little video to finance to everything. Okay. They don't have that. And that, to me, is and I won't say immoral because I'm not being a good person. I've got to keep on saying this. It is an opportunity. It is an underserved sector. I'll give an example. When I was starting looking about how do you market to people on low incomes, I still yet to find out any data. And billions of pounds is spent on marketing to people on low incomes, and no one knows how. Mm. That, to me, is insane, right? That, to me, isn't, okay, fine, it should be sorted out from a moral imperative, yep. But it's also an opportunity for great minds, startups, tech, everything else, to go in there and find the solutions, as long as you can get the business model right.
Yeah, so with AI, I feel we're at the beginning of this journey, yeah? I think you said just earlier on that 2023 is going to be a huge increase in the use of AI technology. What I'm hearing today and what I'm seeing today, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're on a social challenge, that you're using this technology to help a disadvantaged group. There'll be am I right in saying this?
Not help.
That's very true. But you're going to use this. You're going to use this platform to engage with that community using low tech. Yeah, easy to use. Yeah, yep. Access to a huge amount of knowledge and data that they couldn't otherwise access.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not going to charge them for it.
Nope.
No. And are you going to use this as the beta testing for your business and your technology?
Yep.
So you can then use it.
And also, this is a really clear point. We don't ask for any personal identifiable information. So we're not collecting the personal identifiable information. Right. Really so, for instance, with WhatsApp and with Debbie, right, we just got a telephone number because WhatsApp, in order to create an account, your telephone number. Apart from that, we never ask for your name. Okay.
Well, that's really important.
Right, that's vitally important. So we're not just collecting the data from these people and sending it on. No, we're enabling. Right. So Debbie's one example, and I'll give another example of what we call "don't repeat yourself." So we were doing So this is vitally important. I used to bang on to Google about this all the time. Is that user testing with these people is an advantage. If you create and make something that anyone can use, then everyone can use it, and it opens up a bigger sector. So done user testing with people with anxiety, people on the spectrum, and they would turn around and saying, the sharing information is really traumatic, and we experience this with universal credit, is that you have to share information like things that have happened to you, mistakes you have made, right? Continually, again and again and again, because organizations don't share data because GDPR and lots of different things. So you have to do it again and again and again, and it's traumatizing, right? So we created this using what's called Web3, which is another brand new technology. But this data does not reside on our servers, it is on their phone, okay? And when an organization asks them for some information, name, where they live and things like this, little side note, okay? Forms that have address. Can we stop that? That's unethical. 12 million people don't have one, right? So it's one of the things where we turn around and we report back to tech, stop putting address down. Okay? It excludes people. It's a very exclusionary term. But anyway, so if once one organization, so what the system we set up was an organization can put a question set, not a form. The collection of data has become more important than ever, and we've made it the worst experience with the use of forms. Our job is to get rid of forms. So we have a question set, organization question set. They then turn around to the user and say, oh, here's a code or a link. Can you click that or even scan a QR code? Like you've seen people with their phones scan a QR code. And then that person gets a request to share some information. First name, last name, where they live, whatever, right? If they've never done it before, they then fill it in once. The question set, and that's something I've got to say, is that not only are you got a set of questions, you've got to put in there that organisation, from government, charity, whatever, the reason why they're asking for this information. Mm-hmm. So the person gets a request come in on their phone, right, by putting a code in. They then get who they're going to be sharing it with and why. So that's a request. If you've never shared it before, you never inputted this in before, like name or address, you put it in. You then say, okay, and then it goes back up to the organisation. You then have an audit trail saying when you shared it, why you shared it, right? So therefore, you've always known when your data and exactly what was shared. So if an organisation said you never gave us this, you turn and say, oh yes I did. Right, oh yes I did. Now, the next organisation comes along and turns around and says, oh, we need this information. And you go, great, you go to it. Those questions have already been answered. And you turn around and go, this is the reason why they want it. You want it? Fine, okay. So you don't have to repeat yourself. Now this data stays on your phone, right?
Okay.
But not, so in the cloud, I'm going to get a little bit techie here, but cryptographically there's nodes, right? It's called Web3, which means that no one can ever, I can't see it in on a server. Even if China or the FBI wanted to try and break it, they couldn't. It's impossible to break. Only you, with what's called a key, will be able to see it. Okay? No one else will be able to see it. But it just makes sure the fact that we can transfer the information. But you'll be able to then see how, why, and when you shared exactly what data and when you shared it. And you don't have to do it again.
Wow. Okay.
It's ideas like that and get it. And because there's a line I give, organizations can't share data, but they can share questions.
I can see.
Right? Now, as an organization, there's a huge administration in order to do forms and things like this. Get rid of that. Massive lowering of costs. Organizations would spend a lot of money to have that. The end user doesn't get charged a bit. And if you've got anxiety or you're on scale or lots of different things, it actually is better for you. So one of the first early use cases we got is in the new year, people with Parkinson's. They have a hard time sharing information. Okay. They try and put in a form. Yeah. So the users with them can put this information in and they can go along to this event and just have a code, share it, right, and have that information shared. And that can be even like health data,
yes,
right? Because it's not being stored in our servers, we don't need to worry.
Yeah.
It's on their devices and they're in control.
Okay.
So it's thinking like that. By doing user testing with people with anxiety, you create an amazing product. But the tech companies and the organizations don't do that. They go, they don't know. It's all right. We'll decide what's best for them. Yeah. They know what's best for them and they're adding value because of it. And we're going to show that in a couple of days' time. The people we did that user testing did that. I'm going back and saying, look, you said this is what you wanted. We built it for you.
Wow. Whoa, this is this is a conversation, isn't it? This is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. You touched on a subject a little bit earlier. You mentioned recruitment, jobs, vacancies.
Yes. So these are the opportunities it creates by having Debbie, right? So it's got the biggest database. So we've got all the top 5 recruitment boards and everything else. We pull information in all the time. But using AI, what we've done, the first of its kind, again, is lots of first of its kinds we've done, and it's called word search, is that we can use AI to pull skills out of job descriptions and job titles. Yep. So we can then categorize the skills, right? And also qualifications. So therefore, we're starting to see what people in an area are needing in order for jobs. And that's not just jobs which are local. It's jobs that are available for people in that locality. Really big difference. Yeah. So, and also national. So our linguists created an algorithm about what a truly remote job is, because we saw things like truck drivers are being called remote and things like this. Like, no, they're not. And also is to enable from the other side. There's lots of small organisations, small business people and everything. Again, this is always creating these business models. So let me get the value to the people on low incomes first. They go up to the bus stop, and we've already created this in beta, and lots of people have used it. The QR code, you scan it, and it says what jobs are available within 1 hour commute by bus from this bus stop. Not just that, what jobs have been in what sectors available within 1 hour of this bus stop in the last month.
Wow.
What skills are available with 1 hour commute from this bus stop. Now, education, lots of different people would want to pay for that information, right? And also to see that people are asking that question. Not who they are, but a number. Some people are, okay? So we can then start use AI in order to rethink what skills are and everything else. And this is a really important point. When it comes to jobs and recruitment, again, this is just listening. It's just simply listening, for God's sake, is that there's two groups of people which are very much aligned in this space that the pandemic showed. If you go to a job board, it is you go along to an office between 9 to 5 and come back, right? This is a very, to use this term, patriarchal way of thinking about work, right? About jobs. So really careful. So we decided that, no. Actually, when I spoke to young people, they don't think jobs, they think work. They have revenue streams, they have different opportunities, right? Also another group of people, and we call it triple F. So my linguist will have a go at me if I say it as female-friendly first, right? Because she didn't want it to be gendered, but family-friendly first. So we call it triple F.
Yep.
For a lot of people, and I'm going to say the women I've spoken to, they tell me that they have to decode job descriptions. Mm-hmm. They have to decode, is it truly hybrid? Is it truly flexible? They've got a whole different way of thinking about this that is not taken care of. So these two sections actually think about work, not about job. And that's why we call it work search. And it's think about skills, recruitment, and everything else about work. For instance, we noticed Google Trend. Google Trend was saying, so this Google Trend is, do you see the trend of what Google searches are? And people are putting in evening work, right?
Okay.
And I was going, why are they putting in evening work remote? And I went, cost of living crisis and younger people. So we need to build skills for people to be able to create, let's say, an Instagram shop, right? That they would work on in the evening in order to create income, in order to top up their daily incomes.
Yep.
That's a completely different way of thinking about income. It's not about getting people not in jobs to jobs. It's about getting people who haven't got work income.
Yeah.
Now, AI is really good at this. And if you start, again, talking to people who don't usually get talked to, right? It's just simple. Talk to people who don't get talked to normally. You create new opportunities. But that's what tech and business always has been, is to find a market which is underserved and deliver services to it. But we don't when they're low income because we feel like, oh, that's charity.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's a sector like anything else and should be treated with due care and respect like anyone else.
Well done. Okay. So is it a revolution that's coming? Well, it's clearly going to change the way we do things, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's clearly going to change the way we access information and knowledge, data.
So something happened 2 weeks ago. A piece of AI came out, and we already use it as part of, we've got many different things, AI algorithms and things we've created, which is going to change everything. And it started to bubble up. And in the AI community, we were like, okay, why isn't this in the news? Okay?
Yeah.
And it's called OpenAI. It's got a large language model, went over the whole of the internet pretty much from 2019.
Okay.
And it is completely revolutionary. We use it as part of what we do. So you sort of use it and as a suite of other things. They did it so that people could actually talk to it, the general public. So if you go to chat.openai, right, you can use it yourself. It's going to change the world.
Wow.
And it's not on the news. There was some BBC article in the New York Times like, oh, these are the problems with it. Education, lots of different things are going to change because of it. So if you have an opportunity, and maybe in the show notes, we can put a link to it, play around with it. 2 million people, show notes down there, 2 million people started using it in 2 days. And it's learning from interacting, okay? Wow. Now, that's not the revolutionary part. Use it and you'll see. So you can use it like create a blog post about business networking education. Create the blog post. Not scrape it, completely new. Create a script from it. Create a script. Create the code of a proof of concept of an app using Python, let's say, in order to create an app that would upload these clips so that network could see. Yeah. And it shows you how to do it, and it gives you the code. tweet about it, and it creates the tweet. All within seconds.
Okay.
Education is going to be massively disrupted.
Yeah.
Massively. Because answering forms, lots of different things we do, but you've got to add other things into it to make it have a utility, right? But that is version 3. Version 4 is coming out between now and February. And it is hundreds of times more powerful. And no one knows what this means.
Good.
Honestly, no one knows what this means. Even the people building it don't know what this means.
Wow.
So there's lots of small companies just all of a sudden massively growing, really fast, bubbling up. And I've been through these gold rushes before. Our obsession that gets me up in the morning is this AI gold rush of not just that, but all these other solutions can be built so the people who are most disadvantaged and disadvantaged in the way that is structural can use it in order to change their life chances.
Yeah, well done you. Fantastic.
And other people are going to build for what they're going to build. But we're starting from the bottom up, not from the top down.
Well, you are clearly a man who's very knowledgeable in this space. Yeah, all credit to you. All credit to you. Now, our viewers, how can they find you?
If you go to high9.io, that's the website, which you can contact us. My Twitter handle is mywoeisme, MYWOIS, M for mother E.
Yep.
On there, on the site, you can email me over, contact me on Twitter, Woe King, LinkedIn, reach out and talk to me, right? So what we're trying to do is get hold of organizations. We're now launching out of beta locally to thousands of users, and hundreds of people, thousands actually used it, but even more locally in the Cornwall area. It's a small area, but we want to get to the next stage nationally.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I'm here, because
Indeed.
Birmingham is a phenomenal opportunity maybe to achieve that, is that we want as quickly as possible give these tools out to as many people as possible. No one is doing this in the country, as far as we know, the world, in using AI with the individual. There's lots of people using AI with the state, and this is really important. Government, local government are looking at how they can use AI. That is terrifying, because they'll do it badly. They're well-meaning, but they'll do it badly. And I know this because my chief data scientist is Walter, and he's a political refugee from Hong Kong who worked for the Hong Kong government in data science. And he saw how AI was used against its citizens. He protested, and the stories he tells are horrifying of what then happened. Right? His aunt disappeared for a couple of weeks, came back, no reason why. Right? He lost his job. All of a sudden, he's been surveilled. The stories he gives is incredible. AI, from the top down, is a terrifying prospect. He obsesses about how AI could be given to the individual from the bottom up. That's the true transformation that no one talks about.
Okay.
So anyone organisation, charity, local government, national government, anyone, we're now starting to talk about this. Yeah. And what we're doing, we're starting to come out of the dark, right? As all these products and services that we're launching. And talk to us. We want to change the conversation. We want to, and I am now, as you can see, I can talk and talk and talk, right? But I want to change things, but in a meaningful way. I want to get rich from this, and anyone who invests and works with us, I want to get rich from this, because if we do this, we've cracked it, and we've changed the game. Google, I spoke to many times, they said to me, oh, we've got this money for in non-profit and charity that we can give to you. I said, no, I want it core. It should be in your business. That's where it's going to be. If you type in Google Maps in Cornwall, food, uppots, McDonald's, restaurants, lots of different things, right? With links and with images and everything else. Type in food bank, 14, and we know half of them are wrong. And we know, because of our research, there's about 200.
Wow.
There's a Google of the forgotten. And we're creating other solutions, which I haven't got time to go into now, about meeting that demand. How do we get that data? Because that is the most vital data that we can possibly have.
So this is where we can actually get some good out of this. Because as you said, there are, without question, and I'm probably one of them, that is skeptical about AI. What is it going to mean? Is it, how's it going to impact on my daily life?
Yeah.
So I can actually hear and see today, and the viewers can understand today from yourself, Woe, A, your specialisation and knowledge in this field. Secondly, you've now told us how we can contact you, how we can access you, talk to you, and engage with you. Yeah. So, Woe, a huge thanks from us at the British Business Podcast today. Fascinating subject. You're right, we could talk for hours.
Yeah.
What I'd love to say to you is in 3 months' time, will you please come back and update us and tell us how it's going and give us some evidence and show us how it's working? That would be fantastic.
Brilliant.
All right.
Thank
Thank you
you for
so
your time.
much for today. And that's it for us today, folks. Thanks very much, and I'll catch you on the other side. Bye-bye.